Hey everyone, it's Ryan1940 here. Today we're taking a look at Stormworks, and this is the Whiskey Submarine. It's very, very loosely inspired off the Whiskey class Soviet submarines. I really wanted to make a post-World War II era diesel boat, and I didn't want it to be like a US design. So yeah, this is not like a one-for-one thing for sure, and I'm definitely going to make a larger submarine in the future. This was just kind of a test for me to see if I could actually do it. Anyways, we're going to use this video as a way to show you what the heck to do with this thing and how it all works. So this is the top of the sail here. We've got a radio antenna that on a mast, same thing with the periscope, and same thing with the radar. The mast doesn't go very high, so the periscope doesn't go a lot in the added depth basically, because I did not want to interrupt the feature of the periscope down in the control room. If I made this extend down to the control room, I think we would lose that feature. So just because we can't have this has to be sealed if it's coming from the outside, otherwise water would get in the submarine. Okay, so anyways, this is a subfloor. Down in this space you would actually have your guns and things like that. So let me show you if I can get back up there on the ladder. Let's close this hatch. Yeah, so you would get your rifle ammo, and there's some grenades up here right from that spot. Oops, I actually got the rifle. Alright, we're in the control room now, and there's a few really cool add-ons from people that created stuff on the workshop. This one right here is the Soviet Anthem radio by Loki-san. Yeah, let me just turn it on. So it's got power. We have this key that says motivate the sailors. I changed the name to it. I think it just was on and off before, but this will motivate your sailors. So this is like the Wish.com version of the Soviet Anthem theme and the Hunt for Red October. But it's super neat. I really think that's cool. It just also adds some electronic equipment stuff into the control room. Alright, so we'll turn that off, and this is where you would raise the antenna mast, so you just go up like that, and now the antenna is raised. We can double check by hitting tab, and then it's gone up. You see the piston doesn't raise it that much, but whatever. I think in my next build we'll do it differently so it can go higher. It's just, I really wanted to preserve this periscope thing I made. Oh, it's got like water forming around it. It's interesting. Anyways, so yeah, this is a periscope that you can grab here with the control handle, and you can spin around in it. And you can use the viewing scope, and as you spin, the periscope up here spins, so that's really cool. Yeah, so there's no zoom capability. This is just I wanted it to just be like a crappy scope. And also, if we were to use a zooming one, the camera up there would have to be too wide, or too in depth, I think, for the blocks. We have here the sonars by Pufferfish, so there's an active sonar set and a passive sonar set. You'll see this waterfall display is kind of broken up, and that's because it requires water over the sensor, and that sensor is mounted on the, let me go on the outside view. The passive sonar is actually in this top of this bubble here, so it only works when it's underwater, so you'll have to wait till you're submerged. The active sonar is in the bottom there, and yeah. So that's pretty cool. When you turn it on, you can actually ping it, and you can do a constant ping. Oh, let me get out of these seats. What the heck's going on? There we go. Yeah, so it'll ping constantly. You can change south lock. So that's basically moving how that your baffles is displayed. So you might have a contact kind of closer on one edge, so it's just easier to flip the display the other way to get the, you don't really see more, it's just a way for you to see it better on the console for your preferences. Yeah, this guy's the radar microcontroller that was by Tedstrom42. So you got the mast control here, so you can raise the radar mast. You turn this key button on, and then the radar comes on, and then you got this on-off button, which will start to transmit the radar. And then it beeps when it has a contact. This goes out, I think, to 7,500 meters. Okay, so we can turn it off. Turn the active sonar off. So let's go back here. This is what I really think is cool. This is by Nova, and it's like an analog plotting table. And basically, we can clear the log here. and it's slow, kind of simulating that you'd have to write all this junk out. Now if we log our position, it's going to make a mark at where we're at. We can turn this on to see our position data, so it's going to say we're at 0 knots, what our course was, and the time that it was. Okay. If we have multiple marks, we can draw lines between those marks. So if time goes on, we actually set sail, we'll make another mark, and I'll show you that. And this is how you turn on. This is the radio by, what is this radio called? I think it's like BC348 by Flak Happy. And if you want to turn it on, you just flick this switch, and now we're on. If you want to make it encrypted with another similar radio, I think it is this, or it's one of these guys. There we go. You'll know you've done it if this turns blue, so it's just flip the switch that way. Now we're unencrypted, and then the blue is encrypted, okay? So turn that off there, but that's the antenna mast that's over there, and if you wanted to raise that, once again, it's this one right here. Okay, so that's the radio stuff and the plotting. This is all just information from the cylinders. So we've got we got 2 engines. They all have 4 cylinders each, so there's 8 of them total. This is the gas monitor, so you can see CO2, air, oxygen, nitrogen levels, gas meters right there. And this is our fuel tanks for port and starboard. This stuff controls the way the propulsion system works and how you snorkel things and ballast, right? So let's just get the engine started. We'll get underway and I'll show you how to do the snorkel stuff. So get the engine started and add some throttle to it. Oh, you know what? We actually need to align. There we go. Alright, so the sub is moving, so let's drive it a little bit, and then... Oh, there's a ship out there. That's good for us. Okay, let's slow down. Gotta get real slow with it. In fact, the submarine doesn't like when you step on seats like that. Okay, it's struggling right now because the decks are kind of awash. So what we want to do is raise our snorkel, and then we want to snorkel air exhaust, and then we'll turn the through-hole air exhaust off. Okay. So now you can see it's actually going through the snorkel, and not the through-hole. So we had to raise it first because we don't want the air to flow through that unless the snorkel's raised, because it's just basically going to be underwater as well. So raise that first, and then do that to align the air to go there. Alright, so while we've got a ship out here, let's just go use the torpedo really quick, and then we'll come back to controlling this damn thing. Alright. So this is the bow compartment. All you gotta do is close the torpedo door. We opened it up, and we'll just fire the torpedo. So here we go. Let's take the outside view here. As long as you're kind of aligned with your target, you're good. There we go. And there's the torpedo. Off it goes. So this is a... Oh, is it going to catch it? I think it did, yes. Alright. So this is a modified torpedo system by Bruce. I think it's called number 2, like a generic name like a lot of his things. The full system has 4 reloads, and so you see there was an accurate hit. It's a really good torpedo system. So we're going to... In the future, I'll probably make a bigger submarine. I'm going to try and have 2 torpedo tubes with 4 reloads. So we'll be able to see that in action and get multiple shots. Alright, so now we got the snorkel system going. We want to close the torpedo door, turn that off, and drain the tube to bow ballast. So if you look here, this is all the water that poured in. So there's like 2,100 liters basically. So we can go ahead and drain that to the bow ballast. So that's going to make our bow heavy. You see the ballast tank on the bow is starting to fill up. So that'll keep going. It's going to make us heavier. We'll sink in the water. You can actually go to all these pumps to either fill or blow the ballast. So this is for the aft or the forward ballast tanks, and this is for the tank number 2, and there's tank number 4 on the port side, which are kind of like flank tanks for the ballast, and there's also an aft tank. Same thing on this side. We got one's filling and blow, and then there's a number 3 tank that you could fill and blow individually, and there's an aft tank. So if you don't want to do that locally, you just want to turn them all on, you can just do fill ballast or blow ballast, so control all the ballast tanks. But for basically, if you want to balance things kind of manually, you'll have to go to the pump itself and then do it that way. So this will fill up, and then if we wanted to, like I said, while we're filling this up with the torpedo tube water, now it's going to the forward tank. If we want to get rid of that, we can just blow the bow ballast, and it's going to try and drain it. So you see that number is actually going down. If we turn that off, the number is going to go back up because it's getting all the water from the tube. So that's fundamentally how you control the ballast tank. So let's try and submerge ourselves here by hitting fill ballast. So all the tanks are going to go. And we're going to run on the snorkel, so we'll take this underwater, and you can see it actually working, which is pretty neat. You can just do prolonged submerged operations with... so you see the decks are washed out. On the stern part of the deck, that's where the exhausts are. So they'll work with some water over the deck if there's enough exhaust pressure going out. But it's not recommended you keep doing that. The sail air intake are these things right here. So there's one on each side. So that's the through-hole air intake. If you get that wet, then water's going to go, air won't go into the engine, and then it's going to starve itself and shut off. You see our stern planes, or our bow planes, are up right now. So let's go ahead and turn them down with that control right there. And you can see that they actually did go down. And now if you want to drive the ship, you'll have to go to the planes and helmsman's position. And yeah, I can go left, right with the rudder. So that's the A and D keys, and then W, S, up and down with the bow and stern planes. So we can help ourselves dive a little faster there. So the bow and stern planes are sticky keys, so they'll stop where you kept us at. If I was to make it just like on an instant to reset, it would absolutely suck, because you're constantly fighting the planes and stuff to try and get the perfect like level based on your ballast and your speed. So look at this, we're using our snorkel pretty well. We're keeping the batteries charged. If you want to see the batteries, this is the battery level somewhere in there. So starboard and port banks, they're connected at the moment, but back there you can actually disconnect them if you want, or separate them out for whatever reason. This is our submarine depth. This is the bottom depth underneath us, and then we can let's see here. So let's try to just put this in electric mode, and then we'll turn the regular engines off here. So if you want to do that, we want to turn the electric mode motor's throttle kind of up a little bit, right? And then we got that going, and then we can just kill this. So now we're running underway 16 knots on electric power. Then we can turn the air exhaust off, and we can lower the snorkel. So we are now fully running on electric. Okay, so let's say if I kind of just want this on like autopilot or whatever, and I don't want to keep having to check outside how we're driving. First off, this is the horizontal reference indicator. You're facing sideways, so this is like a sideways angle view of the submarine. So if I go down a lot, the right side's going to go down, right? Imagine that being the submarine tipping down, and if I go back a lot, we're going to start going up. Alright, the engines are still on. Let's turn them off. They're starved. Okay, so you can see here we're getting up pretty high on our angle there. Now we're kind of good. The depth underneath us is 127 feet, and we're at 45. So it's actually pretty deep around here. So this is good. We can, if we want to hold the depth and we don't want to do stuff with it, you have to put a minus before and then just say like 30 feet and then turn the system on. Now you don't have control, and the submarine's going to go ahead and climb. You'll see it climb, and then it'll level off at whatever the depth setting was. So this is nice. You can go do other things, so we can go explore the submarine some more. We'll turn the fill ballast off. I think we're good now. And let's actually slow the motor down quite a bit, because we're going 20 knots undersea. You can see the battery's down to 0.83, so 83% left on the battery. Let's just creep along at like 5 knots. This is the backlights, so it turns on all the backlights here in the control room. These are your nav lights. They're just simple LEDs topside when you're sailing on the surface. You have the red and green and stern light. So you got those guys. Yeah, we already saw the bow compartment with the torpedo. We saw everything in control now. Now you see that actually the passive sonar is working. Now we can turn the active sonar on as well. Okay, we don't need the radar on. We can turn that off, save the electricity, lower the radar mast. I believe the antenna's down. Yeah, so we're not using any fuel. We got 78 on the battery. The battery goes down a lot because I didn't size this up enough to put in two like big batteries, so we're using a bunch of medium batteries. They're kind of stored everywhere around the submarine, but they are in separate banks, so all the port side ones are tied together and all the starboard side ones are tied together, and they're controlled back over here. Forward switchboard. So this cross connect here is what ties the two battery banks together. So if you turn that off, then you're only going to get electricity from one side, depending on how this how everything's lined up. So I think by default, if this was turned off, it was only the port side would supply batteries to the switchboard. The switchboard is basically our connections to all the electrical isolation around the submarine. So all the spaces aft of the sail will be on the aft switchboard, and control room and forward of the sail, control room in the bow compartment will be on the forward switchboard. So those will feed electricity to things up there, so we can isolate stuff if we want. So that's that port battery to the motor, yep. And the generator bank, yeah. So these are all on, but they're all aligned so that you can just go out and sail, but you could mess with it if you want. So yeah, we've got the generators here. This is what is driving the electrical charge when the diesel engines are on. They will go to these battery banks. This is the electric motor, which is running right now, and this is the clutch for it. So when you spawn in, it's already engaged. But obviously, if you have the electric motor throttle up forward turned off or all the way to 0, it's not going to consume electricity. I don't know if there's like a parasitic charge just for it being on, but definitely it's just not running. But if you really want to separate it out, you can take that clutch down to 0, and then the electric motor, even if it had throttle apply, would not be pushing power to the two propellers back aft. So back aft here is the aft ballast tank, and this is the individual controls for them to fill and to blow. So I think by the time I release this, I might have changed the ballast system slightly, but I might not. It might just be as is. And the major issue is that it's kind of slow to fill up and to empty. And I might get around that by adding some compressed gases to the submarine, but because it's such a small space, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it without it making it look too weird. So I might just forgo it. I mean, you saw that we were able to dive, so that's fine. All right. Oh, this is just for your knowledge. Right here, this bulkhead and this bulkhead is the fuel tanks for the port and starboard engine. So you can see the yellow pipe going there and the yellow pipe there. There's also a fill section on the topside deck to get the submarine refueled. Basically, this is our fire system, so we can refuel the fire main tank. But it's like all my other fire stations on my ships. You can grab the hose, click it, open the valve to get it to go, and then hit R to fire the water. All right, and then you can stow it, close the valve, and say you want to refill this tank because it's relatively small. You can just hit the refill fire main tank, and that's going to use a pump that's going to. I don't know why that's not working. I wonder. Oh, I think it's the pressure. It'll work once we'll leave it on. It'll work as we get towards the surface, I think. So we got that. Actually, we should check the electricity. Oh, we still got plenty of electricity. So this is the captain's bedroom here, or little nook. Sorry, and then some equipment down there for you. This head actually works like all my other things for my ships. You can open this to get water from a tank. It pours into there, and you can flush it. And that'll flush it out to the outside the submarine. These sinks work too. If you can just get in here, the toilet's in the way, so you can open that, and it'll take water. Same thing with the shower. Open that, it'll dump water down. So there's that, and then we're back in the compartment here. So let's take a look outside, see how we're oriented. All right, let's we'll just do some surfaced operations, and that should be it. So if you want to surface, all you got to do is we want to blow the ballast, so it's going to start draining the tanks, and then you can actually just have the autopilot do the work for you as well. So we can tell it we want to go to depth of 0, and it's going to come flying up there. All right. Look how aggressive it's doing that. So you can see, because we're so heavy, that it's really just kind of it wants to pull up but the stern's going to sag. As we lose more water, or if we went faster, it would be just cruising on the surface. So this is actually an enemy island. We're going to want to get away from that a little bit. So if you want to drive the ship, remember you have to be in this seat. Okay, and now I can put it, I can give it rudder inputs and it's going to work. And so once again, we're kind of underwater a little bit, decks awash. So we can, actually it might work to, might be able to just, we can use the normal through-hole air exhaust, so we'll do that. We'll line that up first, and then we'll turn our engines on, give us some throttle, should go, turn the electric motor down. Alright, you see the gas coming out, that's where obviously the exhaust is coming. The most important thing is that the air is clear on that sail there, so yeah, we're sailing on diesel power. Once again, if you want to see all the things going on with the engine, you can look at that stuff. Alright, let's we'll keep it going. Alright, and then now we'll just go topside very quickly, and then we'll close the video out. Okay, so this is the snorkel. It folds up, right, obviously. To have the air and exhaust go up, I have to use this hose. So you might see a little bit clipping in the boat when you have the snorkel up and you're by the captain's cabin. These are the refuel ports, so you can plug in the hose there from the pier to get the fuel going, and then there's actually a control you need to know about down here. You need to know that I don't know why that's on, but it was on. Yeah, so it's easy to know how to turn it on. Basically, wherever fuel tank you've plugged into on the starboard or port side, there's a port and starboard side intake pump, so just turn it on and you're good to go. Alright, yeah, I think that's it. This was a very quick look at the new submarine Whiskey. Once again, really loosely based on the Whiskey class. I'd like to make another bigger diesel submarine hopefully in the future. Maybe dabble with the nuclear stuff in the future as well. I've never built a nuclear creation, so that'll be interesting. But I think for to have it fit on a normal workbench and have a larger diesel boat with essentially like one level on it, sort of how some of these old Soviet subs were, I think that would be a nice fit for the game. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'll get to them as soon as possible, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!